Hey friends, it's Marie here again, sharing another video with you. Today I want to feature these dies. These are from Spellbinders and they're designed by Sharyn Sowell. This set is called Starry Forest and I think it is so sweet. You get this little reindeer here. He's got some stars on his antlers. There's also some little bunnies and this gorgeous Christmas tree and a few birds. You can see here I've already made a card just with some simple watercoloring on top of these dies. I think that just really brings them out, helps them to stand out and give them a little bit of soft coloring. So I'm going to go ahead and do some easy watercoloring again today. I'm going to make another card that's similar. I want to show you how simple it is to kind of create that watercolor forest in the background. So what I'm doing is I am brushing out some of these Aqua Flow pens from Nuvo onto my glass mat and I'm mixing them with color. I'm doing this because it's easier to control the amount and the saturation of this watercolor if you brush it out on your mat first and then add water to it. So if you want it to be a lighter color, you add some more water, and if you want it to be a darker color, you can add the color straight. I hope that makes sense. But you can control the color, the richness of the color, and you can also control how much you put on. So I prefer to just put it onto my craft mat and then pick it up with a paintbrush. So now here I'm making the trees, and really all you need to do is make some squiggly imperfect lines and it looks like trees. Your brain knows that this is trying to convey trees, and what I like to do is make the front trees a little bit darker for giving you the impression that you are standing closer to them, and then the other trees in the background make them a little bit smaller and make them a little bit lighter to give the impression that they are fading off into the distance. And I really like just leaving the background white. It gives the impression of sort of a snowy forest in the dark or something. So it's really fun to try to make these little forests. They come together quickly. I did speed up the footage a little bit here, but honestly it doesn't take more than a few minutes. Now for the branches, again, I'm just making some little squiggly lines. The ones in the back are really light and the ones in the front are darker, and I'm kind of arching them over this area where I know I'm going to cut a window. So I kind of want them to be framing the window that I'm going to cut. And I'm pretty much done here with my forest. I am going to go ahead and put another tree on this side, but I actually went ahead and trimmed that off. I did trim this down to a little bit more narrow than an A2 size card. So it is 5.5 tall or long, but I trimmed it down to about 4 wide. So it's going to be a little bit more narrow than your A2 size card. So after I had that all dried, and honestly it doesn't take long to dry because you're using such a small amount of that watercolor, I'm taking an oval die from another Spellbinders set that I have, and I'm going to cut out a little window. I think it's going to be fun to create sort of a peek through window here and put a starry sky behind it. So for my starry sky, I have another piece of paper I'm going to layer behind, and I'm going to take some embellishment mousse, and this is, I believe, the color Old Navy. It's a really dark blue, a navy blue, and it's so gorgeous. I'm just going to apply it with a brush. I really like these brushes for the Nuvo mousse. I think they go on really quite smoothly when you apply it with this brush. You can also do foam ink blender pads, but I would recommend maybe having only one pad for this color. You do want to clean your brush after you use it, otherwise it's going to harden onto your brush. So use something that you can clean. I know the foam pads might not be the best option, but you could use them in a pinch if you don't mind it getting crusty after it dries. So I put that Old Navy on, and I'm also taking a little bit of this lighter blue and brushing it on the bottom. You can get this Nuvo mousse to blend. In hindsight, I probably would have just stuck with the navy blue because I like that color, and you didn't really see a whole lot of the lighter blue anyway with the finished product. So I want to add some stars to my sky, so I'm actually taking some expanding mousse. This is similar but different because when you heat it up, it puffs up. So I'm using this one because it's the only color I have that's kind of like stars. This is worn linen or old linen or something. But I think I've found my new splattering medium. I love how these stars turned out. When I splattered it, it's actually pretty opaque, and that's what I like when I'm looking for splatters stars. And it's got a little shine and shimmer, so that's always a win as well. I just mixed a little bit with my water, and I'm picking it up with a water brush and just tapping on some stars. Now, it doesn't take long to dry, but I did go ahead and hit it with my heat tool. That's because I wanted to see if it would still puff up when it was mixed with water, and it did end up having a little bit of texture. It's not as raised as it would be if you just had applied it through a stencil, but there is a little bit of raised texture there. So I think it's a really fun and unique product to use for star splatters. Now I'm going to go ahead and use these little dies. I've got the reindeer and the bird here. These are the ones that I'm going to use on this card. I just went ahead and cut them out of watercolor paper. I want to add these to the front of my card. I want the white to be the same white that's on my background. So I'm using the same paper that I use for my background. And I'm also going to just give them a little bit of shading with some watercolor. So there's the rainbow, and here is the little bird. I think they're just darling. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of shading to these die cuts. Again, using some of that same watercolor with a brush, adding it to areas that would be darker or have shadows to them. And then I'm going to go ahead and just kind of spread that out a little bit more with some clean water. So I wanted my die cuts to be mostly white, but I did want them to have a little bit of shading just to help them pop off the page a little bit. So I'm not doing a whole lot of watercoloring here. In the other card I showed you in the beginning, I did watercolor all of my pieces, and I added more foresty kind of colors, and I think that's really pretty as well. So there's a lot you can do with these dies. I'm also having another post coming up that shows me cutting these out of black paper for a silhouette. So you can color them, you don't have to color them, you can add sparkle all over them if you want. What would be really fun is if you cut this reindeer out of another paper, maybe a glitter paper or a mirror paper, and then you cut those little stars off and layered them on top, and then you could get shimmery stars on the antlers as well. So many things you can do with these sweet little dies. So I'm going to go ahead and add my front forest panel on top of my star background, and I've got some foam squares here. I'm just peeling off the backing, and then I'm going to adhere it right over my stars, and that's just going to pop up the front a little bit, give it more dimension to make it look like a window you're looking through, and it's just going to help the whole card come together. I really love that starry sky in the background, and I love that blue against the white. It just gives you a really wintry feel for this card. So I'm going to add my little die cuts here. I put a little bit of foam adhesive on the back of part of this reindeer, and I'm adding glue onto the other side. This is a way that I like to use die cuts and account for the varying heights on my card. So this reindeer, he does need to be popped up on his head to stabilize him as he's hanging off the window there, but I can't put foam adhesive on his back part because then he would be uneven. So I'm just using glue and foam adhesive, and he's going to be just the right height all across the card, even though he's hanging off one side. So that little bird there, I also used a little bit of glue and a tiny piece of adhesive, and I added him as well. And this sentiment is actually a sentiment from the Spellbinders Glimmer kit for November. The November kit is a ton of different Christmas sentiments. I've gone ahead and I've foiled them all in silver, and I have ready-made sentiments ready to go on my cards, and I love the silver along with this wintry blue background. I think it really goes well with the whole winter Christmas theme. So that finishes today's card. I hope that gave you some ideas, some inspiration on using these sweet little die cuts designed by Sharyn Sowell. And that's pretty much my card for the day. So if you want more information, more photos, all links are down below. I have a blog post linked below as well. Otherwise, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, just do all the things. I will catch you guys next time. Have a great day. Bye.